Finally, it was the day of the proposal. Sophie went back to the Tanner residence early in the morning. Regardless of everything, she wanted her grandfather to witness that day. While she had returned early, the rest would only come later in the day. Yale had asked the housekeepers to clean up the Tanner residence. It was his first time making preparations for something like this, and he even asked the housekeepers what else he should prepare for. When he saw that Sophie had returned, he grew nervous. "Sophie, I know you're not interested in the matters at home, but I won't let you down this time." Yale was delighted to have his daughter marry a man like Tristan. Others would have to treat him with respect if they encounter him in the future, for he would be Tristan's father-in-law. "Take a look around and tell me what other things we need to prepare. I'll get people to work on it right away. We can't embarrass ourselves in front of the Lombards." Sophie only glanced at her grandfather's photo on the altar before walking over to it in silence. "Grandpa, will you be more at peace after seeing this? You've always hoped for me to have a good home. I'm sure you can be at peace now." Sophie's heart still ached whenever she looked at her grandfather's framed photo on the altar. Her grandfather had always hoped to see her get married, but now that she was getting married, her grandfather no longer had the chance to send her off. Yale did not make any comments about Sophie's behavior. She had always acted as such since young, never caring about trying to preserve someone else's dignity. Meanwhile, Charmaine was sneering as she watched Sophie from the side. "What's the point in you doing this much for her? Her heart is made of stone. Nothing you do will matter to her." Her words upset Yale. "It's Sophie's big day today. If you can hold your tongue, then join the ceremony. If you can't stop yourself from speaking nonsense like this, then head upstairs to rest instead. I doubt anyone will mind even if you don't attend this. There's no need for you to say agitating words like these." Charmaine was irked by his words, but there was nothing she could say in response. Her words no longer meant anything to the people in the family. She could only keep her silence. Yale was still busy. The Lombards would be coming, and he would make sure that they were prepared enough to welcome the Lombards. On the other hand, Charmaine stayed seated on the couch as if all of these had nothing to do with her. Later on, Arius and Barney came, for there was no way they would miss Sophie's engagement. "Congratulations, Sophie. You're young, but you're already getting married. I have no idea what you're thinking about." Arius did not know why Sophie could not just wait a little longer when she had already found the right man. Why is she in a rush to get married? "Hey, that's enough, Arius. We're here to give her our blessings," Barney interjected, then passed the gift that he had prepared to Sophie. "Thank you, Dr. Smith." What Barney had prepared was a large uncut diamond which Sophie could then use for any design she wanted. "Dr. Smith, I want that too," Arius cried out. Ever since Sophie became Barney's mentee, everything good Barney had was given to her first. He was the afterthought, and that was not a treatment he enjoyed. He wanted those gifts too. "I'll definitely give one to you when you decide to get married," Barney said. Diamonds were things he had plentiful. However, he had to have the chance to give it to Arius. It had to be a meaningful gift. "When I decide to get married. If that's the only way I can get a diamond, then forget it. I have money anyway. I can just get one by myself. There's no point in giving up on my freedom for a diamond. It's almost time. Tristan and the others will be here soon. Is there anything you need help with?" Arius had been living overseas, so he barely knew what went on in an engagement ceremony. "No, it's fine. I just need you to witness it from the side," Sophie said, for Yale had already gotten people to make preparations for everything. At 11 in the morning, the Lombards came. A total of 12 luxurious cars were lined up outside the Tanner residence. Even the plate numbers were consecutive numbers. Those who lived in the area were wealthy people, but even those wealthy people had never seen a sight as grand as this. They were not stunned by the cars. They were stunned by the consecutive plate numbers. That was not something ordinary people could pull off. "Is someone here to pick up their bride?" "I don't know, but isn't this the Tanner residence? Is the Tanner girl getting married?" Who knows? This is impressive. I can't believe they're making this so grand. Then, the next things the neighbors saw were large gift boxes getting carried out of the cars. No one could say how many boxes they were. Those boxes were gifts that William had prepared meticulously. William himself was getting helped out of the car by Sarah. "Dad, are you okay? Are you tired? If you are, let's rest in the car first." As it turned out, William had been leading the people in preparing the gift boxes and had not taken a single break. "I'm fine. It's a good day today, and I'm happy." That is how humans are. Nothing they do will be tiring as long as they are happy. Okay, as long as you're happy. It looks like you're happy about Sophie being your daughter-in-law, Sarah pointed out. I knew it. There is only a handful of people who won't like a girl like Sophie. As long as they spend some time with her, they'll find themselves enjoying her presence. Well, I won't say I hate her. You know my kind nature. Since they've decided to be together, my protest will be meaningless, William said. Isabel then came down from the car. All of them were there. How could they not? It was an important day for Sophie. Grandpa, I swear Sophie won't let you down. Isabel beamed. Once her uncle got married to Sophie, they would be a family. It was a feeling she relished. Tristan got out of the car as well. He was wearing the suit Sophie had bought for him. It was a suit he could not bring himself to wear after he received it, for he was afraid of dirtying it. He was finally wearing it that day. Both Sean and Charles froze for a second when they saw Tristan's suit. It was only later on they found out that Sophie was the one who bought the suit for him. In other words, all the little things between Sophie and Tristan in the ceremony had been done with love. Once all of them were out of the car, Tristan stood frontmost. His woman was in the mansion, and after that day, they would belong to each other. The mere thought of that made him chuckle. He had been looking forward to this, and his excitement was still intense when the day came. Meanwhile, Sophie, who was in the mansion, had already changed into a white dress. That was a dress her grandfather had prepared for her while he was still alive. She guessed that her grandfather knew back then he had little time left in the living world. That was why he had bought the white dress for her, hoping that she would wear it during her engagement. When Arias saw Sophie after her makeup, he gave her a thumbs up. Indeed, our Sophie's the most beautiful person in this world. Naturally, she would be looking her best for her engagement. Sophie grinned, then walked over to the altar. Grandpa, Tristan's here. Haven't you always liked him? I've decided to get married to him. I'm sure you'll be happy about this, right? Despite everything, Tristan was the young man Josiah approved of. All right, Sophie. Mr. Tristan and the rest are here. You're done, right? Let's head out now. Even Yale sounded thrilled. He had never thought Sophie would be able to get married to Tristan. Okay. When they went out and saw the grandeur of the scene, Yale stiffened. It had been a long time since he had seen anything as resplendent as that. This must be what it's like for princesses of the past to get engaged, right? Sophie saw how Tristan was wearing the suit she had bought for him. He looked dazzling, and he had a bright smile on his face. Tristan was standing still, staring at her as if she was the only person he could see. At that very moment, Sophie found out what the definition of bliss was. Sarah then came over with William, and Tristan introduced the two families to each other. William had been on television lately, so Yale recognized him. He just never thought that he would become family with someone like William one day. Hello, old Mr. Lombard. I'm Sophie's father. Despite the overwhelming excitement he felt, Yale managed to compose himself. Sophie was clearly capable enough to get engaged with Tristan, so he could not embarrass her by acting out of place. Hello, I'm Tristan's father. I'm sure we'll be meeting each other more often from now on. After all, they would become in-laws and would be interacting more frequently in the future. Indeed. Please come in, old Mr. Lombard. Yale instantly led everyone in. At the same time, Tristan came over to Sophie and held her hand. Why aren't you wearing a coat? It's a cold day today. What if you catch a cold? Aren't you not wearing one either? Moreover, I'm only out here for a while. I doubt I'll catch a cold like this. All right, let's go in too. There are heaters in the house, so we won't be cold anymore. Okay. With that, Tristan wrapped his arm around her shoulder and led her inside. The living room was spacious, but there were many guests who were there for the engagement, so the crowd made the place look smaller than usual. William and Yale sat on the couch and watched as the people brought the gift boxes into the house. Those were not empty boxes for show. Each and every box was filled with treasures inside. Yale's heart lurched. We'll be a family from now on, so do tell me if you need anything in the future. Everyone knew how powerful the Lombard family was in Gypsdale. Of course, was the only thing Yale could say. Looks like the Lombards think of Sophie as someone important. They wouldn't have prepared these many gifts otherwise. But what can we prep for Sophie's gifts? Sarah, who was sitting beside William, uttered, "Dad, don't be like this." She knew that he would frighten others by saying that, and she knew that he was well aware of the power he held. Here is Tristan's natal chart. Where's Sophie's? Have you prepared it? I've brought the astrologer here. If you have hers, let's have the astrologer pick the right date for their wedding. I did. Yale felt stressed to sit beside William, and that was a kind of stress unprecedented for him. Perhaps it was because of William's identity. Yale hastily took out Sophie's natal chart and handed it to the astrologer. Once the astrologer received both individuals' natal charts, he moved aside to pick a date for their wedding. Dad, you've seen Sophie's grandpa, right? How about you go and pay your respect to him? Tristan said, not wanting Josiah to miss out on Sophie's engagement even if it was in this way. Regrets washed over William. The last time he saw Josiah, he had not been polite toward him. It was only right for him to say a few words to Josiah at his altar. William walked over. Don't worry, old Mr. Tanner. I'll dote on Sophie on behalf of you after she joins our family. I won't let anyone mistreat her. The two children have decided to be together, so I'll help them out in every way I can. There are so many things people can't phrase properly with words when they grow old. After lowering his head for a while, William nodded at Josiah's photo. Old Mr. Lombard, please take a seat on the couch, Yale said, promptly walking over to lead William back. Charmaine was there with them as well, and she was equally baffled by the Lombards' imposing arrival. Are the Lombards serious? There's no way Sophie is a match for the Lombard family. But the Lombards don't care about her identity at all. They're even making everything as monumental as possible for Sophie. That's the greatest form of respect a woman can get. Can you really accept Sophie? Can you really accept her regardless of her history? Charmaine asked abruptly. Yale frowned. It's a big day today. What kind of trouble is she trying to stir up? I should have locked her up. At once, the atmosphere turned awkward. Charmaine, what nonsense are you talking about? Yale then turned to the housekeepers. Mrs. Tanner's not feeling well. Bring her upstairs to rest. Don't you worry. I won't say anything else, Charmaine said before standing up. She did not wish to stay there either. Yale was flustered by that, but he still said to William, I hope you don't mind her, old Mr. Lombard. She hasn't been feeling well lately. It's okay. It's fine, William said, not planning to have someone like Charmaine disrupt a merry day like this. Even though William was upset by the episode, he said nothing since he was at the Tanner residence. However, Sarah noticed his gloominess. Dad, don't take her words to heart. Sophie's mother has never liked Sophie that much, but it isn't Sophie's fault. Of course. It's definitely Sophie's mother's fault. Someone like her simply can't stand to see others being happy. Since Sophie was the one Tristan had picked, she was certainly someone good. There had to be something wrong with the people who thought badly of Sophie. The Lombards had always been protective of their own. Tristan and Sophie were there too, and they knew what Charmaine meant. Nevertheless, they would not stoop to her level on a day like this. Tristan held Sophie's hand and said, Ignore her. You're the only one I love. No matter what happened in her past, the only thing he was concerned about was how he had not met her earlier. If he had, she would not have needed to go through the painful times. Don't worry. I really don't care. Whatever she says will have no effect on me. Sophie was no longer the same Sophie as before. She would never care about what others said about her anymore. She now had her own thoughts and wouldn't get hurt easily. Oh, right, have I told you that you look great today? The clothes really suit you. My Sophie looks good in anything. Everything suits her. There were many people. Felix shook his head in disbelief when he heard that. Since when did Mr. Tristan become someone who utters such passionate sweet nothings? His flirting game is truly at the top. Are you saying that I don't look good on usual days? Sophie didn't really like to dress up, so she usually wore what was comfortable on a daily basis. That was why she looked unique that day. It's not like that. You look good in anything, but you just look different today. Of course, she looks different. Today is the day of our engagement. Okay. Sophie was just joking. She never thought that Tristan would reply to her that way. He takes things too seriously sometimes. The astrologer chose a date and wrote their wedding date on paper using a calligraphy pen. This is the best date to get married. Suitable for young people like you both. The date must be perfect since Tristan was the one who would be getting married. The astrologer then said something else but in technical terms, so no one really understood what he had just said. However, no one dared say anything since this man was brought here by William. No matter what, everyone would respect William's decision. Thank you, Mr. Leeson. William was delighted as he looked at the date that was chosen. Jaden Leeson was a famous astrologer and was well versed in what he was doing. He helped choose the dates for most marriages that happened in Gypsdale. Tristan, however, wasn't happy with the date. He wanted to get married sooner, but the date that Jaden had chosen was in December of next year. Can't we move the date forward? Tristan asked. He had never cared before since he never wanted to get married, but now, he wanted to get married as soon as possible. Everyone looked at him when he said that. Mr. Tristan can't wait anymore, huh? It's my first time seeing him like this. What nonsense are you spouting, Tristan? The date has been chosen. You can't just change it. William was unhappy. Sarah glared at Tristan as well. Since Mr. Leeson said that that's a good day to get married, then that will be the best day for the occasion. Why are you so impatient? Both of them will be together forever anyway, so I don't understand what's the rush now. Tristan was speechless at that. He just wanted to get married as soon as possible. Sophie held his hand. All right now. Let's just go with the chosen date since that's a great day. As Sophie had spoken, Tristan held his tongue. Fine. I'll wait for a year. He could wait since it was just a year. Truth be told, he could wait no matter how long it took. Once the date was set and everyone was happy with it, Yale went and looked at the wedding gifts that were sent to them. Yale only knew that the Tanner family and the Lombard family were not on the same level when he looked at the gifts. Isn't this too much? Charmaine came down the stairs right then, and her heart twinged when she saw the gifts. If only Willow was the one getting married today. Sophie is now living a great life. But what about Willow? I don't even know if she's dead or alive. Charmaine couldn't be happy when she thought of that. Look, Charmaine. The Lombards really cherish Sophie. Sophie will be living the life since the Lombards treasure her this much. I saw the gifts. Sophie is really lucky to meet someone who loves her. Not everyone could have luck like that. The reason why Charmaine came down was that she wanted to talk to Sophie alone. She wouldn't let go of a perfect moment like this. Charmaine, give up on Willow. So what if you bring her back? Her reputation has gone down the gutter. Do you think any prestigious families would still want her? I know you've always had high hopes for her, but she will never achieve your hopes in this lifetime. Why not just give up if that's the case? But that's still our daughter. How can we just leave her be? Charmaine wanted to know if Willow was still alive. What can you do? We don't even know where she is or where she went. Yale was helpless as well. No one was at fault for this. They could only blame Willow for all her evil intentions. That was why she was in this state right now. There was nothing anyone could help her with. Yale, that's your daughter. How could you say something like that at a time like this? Enough. Go upstairs if you're going to keep talking about this. Don't affect anyone's mood. It was Sophie's big day that day, so what Charmaine was saying now would affect Sophie's mood. I really don't understand. You weren't like this before. What you should do now is to restore your relationship with Sophie. You'll only live a great life if you do so. Why does she not understand? Charmaine didn't reply to him when she heard that, and sorrow filled her heart. Even so, she was still waiting for a chance to speak to Sophie, and that chance finally came when Sophie was finally alone. She walked over. Let's talk, Sophie. Charmaine knew that this wasn't the perfect day to speak to Sophie about this, but she didn't have a choice since she didn't even have the chance to meet with Sophie on normal days. What do you want to talk about? Novel drama. Sophie was in a great mood that day, so she was willing to spare a few minutes for Charmaine. Sophie, you're living a happy life now, aren't you? So Willow wouldn't be able to hurt you even if she came back. Let her come back if that's the case. Charmaine had just recently been discharged from the rehabilitation center, so she still had a temper. However, she still had to say certain things for Willow's sake. Sophie furrowed her brows upon hearing that. As expected, it's about Willow. I don't really understand. How would I know where Willow is? Isn't she at the psychiatric nursing home? Plus, whatever happens to her is none of my business. I don't have time for her childish antics. The psychiatric nursing home was a great place to recuperate if Willow didn't mess around. But she's not there. If it wasn't you, then it must be Mr. Tristan. Return Willow back to me. Sophie was utterly speechless. Charmaine grabbed Sophie's wrist and said, Please, Sophie. Let her go. Sophie stared at Charmaine. She's really kind to Willow, and she only shows her maternal love to Willow. Isabel, who came looking for Sophie, was heartbroken when she heard Charmaine's words. How terrible. How dare she utter such nonsense to Sophie on such a wonderful day? Isabel rushed forward and shielded Sophie. You care about Willow because she's your daughter. But isn't Sophie your daughter, too? Willow hired a hitman. How is it that Sophie's the one at fault now? Isabel was livid. This is a family matter. It has nothing to do with you. Right now, I just want to talk to Sophie. Can you scoot? Of course, Charmaine knew who Isabel was. She just could not be bothered to think about it at that moment. Family matter? Sophie's going to be a member of the Lombard family in the future. Naturally, her matters are our family's matters. There's no reason for me not to get involved. Sophie, go to Uncle Tristan. I'll stay here and listen to what she has to say. Sophie patted Isabel on the shoulder. I'm fine. Let's go. It's time to eat. That day, Yale had invited a few chefs to prepare a meal at home. The meal should be ready soon. Since it was her engagement day, she naturally had to have a meal at home. All right. Let's go out together. I don't want to see anyone bully you. Isabel would not let anyone bully Sophie, not even the latter's mother. Okay. Isabel's words brought a smile to Sophie's face. Thanks to Tristan, she had come to know his family, who treated her well. Charmaine watched them leave while sulking. Alas, no one cared about her feelings. Moments later, Cecilia arrived. She had come directly from the set. When she heard Sophie was getting engaged, she applied for a day's leave to rush back for the meal and witness Sophie's beautiful moment. Cecilia immediately pulled Sophie into her arms. Sophie, I never expected you'd be the first to get married. The two often talked about it before Sophie went to Horrington. At that time, they had wondered who their Prince Charming would be. However, many things happened after that. Thankfully, Sophie still found her partner. That was all that mattered to Cecilia. The thought of it made her teary. I'm fine, Cecilia. Perhaps everything that happened in the past was preparing me for this. It's preparing me to meet Tristan with a better version of myself. You're right. Anyway, the fact that you're happy is all that matters. Truth is, I really admire you. Tristan looks like a cold person. Then again, it doesn't matter. What matters most is that he treats you well. To Cecilia, a man who treated everyone warmly was a jerk. She was relieved that Tristan was someone who only treated Sophie warmly. The Wheelers, too, hurried over when they finished their work. On the way there, Sunny could not help but worry about Mark. The person Mark liked was getting married, but he was not the groom. Sunny was afraid Mark would be upset. Mark, why don't you skip the event today? You're tired, anyway. You should get some rest at home. Mark shook his head. Sunny, how can I miss such an important day? Even if Sophie was not getting married to him, he still needed to go over and give her his blessing. He was not someone who would evade situations. Moreover, he would regret it if he did not go. Are you sure you're all right? Sunny was the closest to Mark. Naturally, he was the one most worried about him. Yeah, I'm all right. All that matters is that she's happy. I'll never forgive Tristan if he hurts her. Sophie was the woman he cherished a lot. Unfortunately, she chose Tristan, so he could only remain as her friend. When Isabel heard Mark and the others had arrived, she quickly went out to welcome them. Of course, Felix followed behind her. The moment Isabel saw Mark and his members, she ran up to them excitedly. Mark, you guys made it. I thought you wouldn't be able to come today, said Isabel. Mark and the others had not been back to the country because they had an event abroad. It's Sophie's big day today. Of course, we have to come back. They even prepared gifts for Sophie and wanted to give them to her in person. Let's head in. The meal's starting. Although Mark and the others had missed the engagement ceremony, they made it for the meal. Okay. Sunny stayed with Mark the entire time for fear the latter would be sad. However, Mark was calm the entire time. There was even a smile on his face. Sadly, only he knew how heartbroken he felt. Sophie, this is my engagement gift for you. I hope you'll be happy in the future. Make sure you treat her well, Tristan. I won't forgive you if you don't. No matter how powerful Tristan was, Mark would never forgive him if he mistreated Sophie. Hearing that, Tristan accepted the gift on Sophie's behalf. Don't worry. I won't give you the chance to do so. She's the woman I cherish the most. I'll never hurt her. Thank you, Mark. That was all Sophie could say now that things had come to this. She did not know what else she could say. Can I give you a hug? Asked Mark. At that moment, he felt as if something had collapsed in his heart. Sure. Mark extended his arms, and Sophie went over to hug him. Mark, you'll definitely find someone who'll love you, said Sophie. Mark is a great person. He'll definitely meet the right girl. It's just a matter of time, or maybe their fate hasn't arrived yet. Mark smiled. Really? I've given all my love to Sophie. Will I ever meet another person I like in this lifetime? I bet it's going to be difficult. Mark hugged her for 1 whole minute before reluctantly letting her go. There. Don't worry about me. The Wheelers is currently the hottest rock band. I'll pour all my focus on my career. Since he could not get the girl he liked, he might as well focus on work instead. After all, she had sacrificed a lot for his career. Hey, don't be like this. Sure, you have to focus on work, but relationships need time to build, said Sophie. He can't possibly grow old alone. Sophie, you have to be happy. As soon as Mark said that, his eyes reddened. He did not want that to happen, but sometimes feelings are hard to control. It was something he could do nothing about. Seeing that, Sunny and the other 3 members walked over and hugged Mark and Sophie. Exactly. Be happy, Sophie, said Sunny. He knew what Mark was feeling, but what was more important at that moment was to be happy for Sophie. She was once an insecure person. As time passed, she grew more capable to the point where she could give herself a sense of security. Nevertheless, she was a lady. She needed someone to be by her side. "All right. I will. Don't worry, you guys." In fact, she felt blissful at that moment. "Okay." With that, Tristan arranged for the 5 of them to sit down. There was about 3 tables worth of people who came to the Tanner residence that day. Thankfully, the Tanner family's mansion was relatively big. It could accommodate so many people for a meal. Soon, dishes that had been carefully prepared were served, while Yale bustled around. It was a joyous day for him. After all, how could he not be happy when he could become in-laws with the Lombard family? When all the dishes were served, Yale rose to his feet and said, "I'm glad that everyone made it to Sophie's engagement ceremony today. We should be eating out on a day like this, but we decided it was more sincere to have the meal at our own home. I hope you guys don't mind." All the attendees that day were Sophie's close friends. Naturally, they did not mind it. In fact, they understood why Sophie had chosen to have the meal there. It was for Josiah's sake. "Actually, I'm not an eloquent person, but I'm really happy today. I hope these 2 can live happily in the future," added Yale. "Of course they will. Please sit down and join us. You've been busy helping around the whole day." William gestured for Yale to sit down. Seeing that, Yale sat beside William. Never in his wildest imagination did he think he would have the chance to sit beside such an influential person. It was all thanks to Sophie. Everyone began digging in. After some time, Tristan and Sophie got up. As they stood side by side, their handsome and beautiful appearance made them look like a match made in heaven. Many things have happened throughout this period. With this toast, we'd like to thank everyone for always taking care of us. Tristan appreciated everything everyone did for them. "If something happens to any of you in the future, both of us will not hesitate to help you out." That day, Tristan finally said the words he had never got to say. Sophie nodded in agreement. "That's right. Thank you, everyone." Seeing how the couple complimented each other well, William felt as if no other woman, apart from Sophie, was worthy of his son. The 2 formed a beautiful scenery as they stood together. That was something no one could deny. Right then, Isabel grabbed Felix's hand. "Felix, I still find all this unbelievable. I can't believe Uncle Tristan is finally settling down." In the past, she had thought Tristan was going to be alone for the rest of his life because he was not interested in any women. Ever since Sophie appeared, however, everything changed. The way Tristan treated her was so great that it made others envious of her. "Let's get married too." When Felix saw Tristan looking so happy, he wanted to get married as well. They were almost the same age. Now that Tristan was married, Felix naturally had the urge to do so. Isabel shook her head. "No. My career has just started. How can I get married at this time?" Isabel was not a genius like Sophie. The latter had skipped a grade while Isabel was still in her first year of university. It would take at least 3 years before she graduated. She wanted to wait until she graduated before getting married. Felix hugged her arm. "All right. All that matters is that you're happy. I have no objections." Envy was written all over his face. Isabel, too, felt an urge to get married when she saw the way he reacted. However, she was a singer, and most of her fans were males. If she were to get married now, her fans might stop supporting her. Isabel could not accept an outcome like that. Tristan brought Sophie to every table to have a toast. When they arrived at William's table, William smiled. "Sophie, this was left by Tristan's mother. She wanted to give it to her future daughters-in-law. Lincoln's wife had already received hers. This is yours." As he said that, he took out a jewelry box he treasured a lot. The box was extremely exquisite. It was left by his wife before she died. "I know young people nowadays don't like things like that, but this is for you. Take it." Sophie accepted the box with both hands and said, "I'll take good care of it." To her, Anything left by Tristan's mother was something precious. "Thank you for giving us your blessing, Dad," said Tristan. To be able to receive blessings from one's own family was a great thing. Live a good life together in the future. I give you my blessing. Ever since William accepted Sophie as his daughter-in-law, he had put all his opinions of her behind him. Meanwhile, Yale, who had been watching the exchange, suddenly felt bad. He had prepared nothing for Sophie. If Josiah was still around, he definitely would have prepared something for her. "Dad, thank you for helping us out today," said Sophie. She did not want Yale to feel awkward on a day like that. He was, after all, her father. There was no need to make the situation so awkward. "You silly child, what are you talking about? I'm your father. It's only right for me to do this for you." With that, Tristan and Sophie gave him a toast. After that, they went to Sean's table. "Mr. Tristan, you must be on cloud 9 today," Felix teased. He must be happy to be able to get engaged to the girl he likes. Obviously, being able to be with Sophie was the happiest moment in Tristan's life. It was not easy to meet someone whom he truly loved. In fact, he liked no one until he met Sophie. Moreover, he was not someone who would settle for less. He had already thought of spending the rest of his life alone. Never did he expect to meet Sophie at the very last moment. He had found the person he loved most. "I'll remember everything you guys have done for me and Sophie. I'll do whatever I can to help if anything happens to you guys." The table was filled with youngsters. The moment he said that, all of them rose to their feet. Sean said, "We're buddies. There's no need for all that." Felix chimed in. "Exactly. Why are you saying things like that to your buddies? Besides, you've saved us countless times." Nodding, Charles said, "That's right. We're buddies forever." They were not sentimental people and wouldn't normally say such cheesy words. However, that day was no ordinary day, so the words just came naturally to them. Sophie raised her glass and said, "Thank you, everyone." These people had always been the ones who were sincere in lending a helping hand when they needed it the most. Isabel's eyes brimmed with tears. "Sophie, I should be thanking you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be living here. I wish you nothing but happiness. You must tell me if Uncle Tristan dares to bully you." Tristan rolled his eyes at his niece. "Isabel, mind your words. You're a singer, not an actress. Sophie and I are going to be fine." Tristan warned. "Come on, are they seriously mocking us even before we get married? Uncle Tristan, I'm just saying if that happens. You're not allowed to bully Sophie, all right? I won't let you off the hook if you dare to do so." Isabel would have said the same to anyone marrying Sophie. "That's enough. Don't worry. He loves Sophie so much that there's no way he'll bully her." Felix immediately hugged Isabel to stop her from saying more. She wasn't like this before. Felix thought Isabel had changed after she knew Sophie. She grew very protective of the latter and was constantly worried that the latter might get bullied. Okay. Actually, Isabel knew her worries were unnecessary. However, she still wanted everyone else to know that nobody could bully Sophie. Cecilia and Butterfly smiled. "Sophie, I'm not going to talk your ears off. Just know that I wish you a happy life," Cecilia said. She thought it was a little early for Sophie to settle down. However, she also knew that Tristan and Sophie would be happy together, unbridled by the usual problems plaguing other marriages. Cecilia's eyes began to redden, and in the end, tears started streaming down her face. It was supposed to be Sophie's day of joy, marking the end of a long, dark chapter of her life. But Cecilia couldn't help crying. Sophie's best days are ahead of her. Sean was sitting right beside Cecilia. He took a tissue and handed it to her when he noticed her crying. Cecilia took the tissue and glanced at the man next to her. He is so good-looking, but too bad he's like an iceberg. It was difficult not to fall for his good looks, and Cecilia couldn't help but feel the urge to approach him. However, at the thought of Sophie's warning, Cecilia shook her head and immediately dismissed the fleeting notion. Forget it. My heart belongs to billions of my fans. I have no time to start this right now. Despite Sean's appearance being Cecilia's ideal type, she knew she couldn't afford to get involved with him. She decided it was best to steer clear of the man. Then again, sometimes things just wouldn't go as planned, and one's heart could lead one down unexpected paths. However, that was a story for another time. After toasting the guests, Tristan and Sophie returned to William's table to dine with them. Barney was seated at the same table and was pleased to see Sophie happy. She deserves others treating her right. The Tanner residence was buzzing with guests right then. At that moment, Nicholas stood outside the door of the Tanner residence all alone. He did not head inside, knowing his appearance would cause a big commotion, so he merely stood outside. Of course, he was well aware of what was happening back in the Tanner residence. Sophie and Tristan were getting engaged. He was only there because he had heard the news of their engagement party earlier. That's my girl. How can she get engaged to another man? However, there was nothing he could do right then. Richard was waiting in the car. He knew how precarious the situation was to them. However, Nicholas was standing right there, refusing to leave, and Richard had no choice but to wait for his boss. Boss has been standing here for almost an hour. It's so cold in Gypsdale now. He must be freezing out there. Richard knew it was time to leave. Otherwise, the situation might go out of hand when guests started to leave the Tanner residence. Even though he was terrified of Nicholas, Richard knew he should pluck up the courage to ask his boss to leave. Richard got out of the car and approached Nicholas. Boss, it's about time we leave. The guests in the Tanner residence were about to leave, and he couldn't allow Nicholas to be seen by them. However, Nicholas didn't budge. Boss, let's leave first. Haven't you made the arrangements already? They're not going to get married. Sophie will be your bride, Richard added. You can get a divorce even if you're married. Besides, they're only getting engaged now. Richard didn't think the engagement really mattered. Richard was different from Alex. As Nicholas' subordinate, Richard would strictly follow his boss' instructions and stop at nothing to ensure the tasks assigned to him were done. Nicholas was very pleased with Richard's performance, as the latter was exactly what he wanted in a subordinate. He was starting to move on from Alex's death. As Nicholas turned around, Richard opened the car door for him, allowing his boss to enter first before following suit and getting inside the car himself. The car was warm as summer, and the chill Nicholas had felt soon dissipated. Deal with it, Richard. Nicholas would never let Sophie become another man's bride. Sophie was his and his alone. If Tristan insisted on snatching her away, Nicholas would not hesitate to kill him. He had no fear even if things had to go to that extent. At most, he would lose his own life. Boss, don't worry. I will be sure to help you accomplish whatever you set out to do no matter what it takes, Richard said. His unwavering loyalty to Nicholas was evident in his words. Okay. Nicholas closed his eyes. Drive the car to someplace discreet. I want to look at her from afar. It had been a long time since he had last seen Sophie. He missed her terribly. The longing for her tore at his heart, keeping him up at night. Nicholas had no idea how long he would have to endure the pain. However, he was positive that it would all come to an end one day. Meanwhile, in the Tanner residence, after having dinner, everyone chatted for a bit. However, time flew by, and it was soon time for William to head back home to take a good rest. Dad, let me follow you home. Tristan still had things to do, but it was time for William to go home. Okay. William was already tuckered out and reckoned that he should leave the youngsters to enjoy the rest of the evening. A group of people escorted William out of the house. Tristan personally opened the car door for his father and asked the driver to drive carefully. All right, go back inside. It's cold out here. I'm going to accompany Dad home. Don't worry, Sarah said with a smile. As Tristan's sister, she was glad to see her little brother progressing into the next stage of his life with the love of his life. Sarah, be careful on the way home, then. Mr. Fraser, please drive carefully, Sophie reminded the driver again. Mr. Lombard, Ms. Tanner, Please go back inside. I'll be careful on the road, the driver replied with a smile. The atmosphere in the car was light-hearted throughout the journey. William was in a cheery mood despite the exhausting day. Sarah, even your brother is getting married. As the elder sister, shouldn't you start planning for your future? It doesn't bode well to keep procrastinating. Everyone should find a special someone that they belong with. I can't help feeling concerned about you if you don't take action soon. Dad, Lincoln already has Isabel, while Tristan will be married soon. I'm sure he'll give you a grandchild in no time. Just let me be. I'm happy with the state of life I'm in right now. She genuinely felt content and didn't want to change a thing. Is it because you still can't let go of Juan? If he's the only one for you, why not give it a shot? He's single now, isn't he? William had finally thought things through and come around. There was no helping it if Sarah only had eyes for Juan. He couldn't possibly let his daughter become a spinster. Dad, I do not want to think about such things right now. Of course, I hope to find someone after seeing how blissful Tristan and the others are, but that someone has to love me with all his heart. Or else, I'd rather be alone forever. Sarah had a set of principles that she lived by, and she'd rather live a solitary life than settle for anything less than true love. Oh, you. What else can I say? You've always been a headstrong child. Regardless, I still don't think this is the right way to go about your love life. William believed that she should go ahead and pursue whoever she liked fearlessly. It served no purpose to keep her feelings hidden. Richard parked his car at an inconspicuous corner. Nicholas' senses sharpened at the incoming sound of a car engine. He could not forget Sophie, no matter what she did to him. His resolve to get together with her had never once wavered. Richard handed him a pair of binoculars. Nicholas looked into it and, after identifying the person in the car, reached for his handgun. Boss, what do you think you're doing? We'd be in deep trouble if we were to kill someone in Chon-Aea. Their headquarters were situated in Anglander while they were currently on Tristan's territory. It was unlikely that they'd leave Chon-Aea if things went south. Don't worry. I'll spare their lives. I'm just going to teach them a lesson. With that, he aimed his gun at a car tire and fired with such precision that it punctured instantly. Because of that, the car spun out of control. William covered Sarah with his body in the nick of time after hearing the gunshot. The driver was shocked yet managed to regain his senses swiftly enough to wrest control of the car. Nonetheless, it still collided with the barrier on the side of the street. Thankfully, it was a well-built car that didn't explode despite being thrown sideways. Dad, are you all right? Sarah's voice trembled. She only suffered some light wounds thanks to her father's timely protection. William was injured too, but all he cared about was Sarah's well-being. Unlike him, Sarah was still young and had a future ahead of her. I'm fine. How about you? Are you hurt, Sarah? Sarah checked William for any injuries, and her hands came away covered with a sticky substance. Her eyes watered when she recalled him shielding her body with his. Dad, you'll be fine. I'll call Tristan right away and get you to the hospital. It was of utmost importance for William to reach the hospital no matter what. Okay. Old Mr. Lombard, Ms. Lombard, are both of you all right? The driver had managed to climb out of the car and was thinking of a way to rescue them. Don't worry about me, Mr. Fraser. Please help my dad out. Sarah only sustained several surface wounds. Sarah, you should get out first. The car is going to explode any moment now. You're still young, so go. Somebody, help us. The driver was not capable of rescuing the two of them alone. As such, he had no choice but to shout for help to attract the attention of passers-by willing to offer aid. Nicholas's lips curled smugly as the calls for help reached his ears. This was the consequence one had to bear for crossing him. Richard was at a loss at his boss' behavior. Boss, should I get rid of them? He might as well dispatch them after the extent of damage they wrought. Nicholas shook his head. That won't be necessary. Let's go. Tristan will be arriving soon. Isn't he going to be engaged soon? Let this be his engagement gift, then. An unconventionally unique one, at that. Tristan's features turned thunderous once he received a call about the incident. Sophie surmised that something must have happened based on the look on his face. My dad and Sarah met with an accident. I'm heading over to check on them, Tristan uttered as he made to leave. Isabel was stunned, frozen. How could such a thing happen out of nowhere? Martin Fraser was a skilled driver who'd never once met with an accident in all the years he'd worked as a driver in their household. Felix hurriedly helped Isabel into her coat as he took note of her dazed-like state. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We won't know the true scope of the situation unless we see it with our own eyes. Come on. Right. Isabel did as she was told blankly, as she had yet to recover from her shock. Sophie put on her coat and grabbed Tristan's before trailing behind them. Tristan had already moved the car into position when she reached outside. They took off at lightning speed once she got on. Sophie clenched her fists subconsciously during the journey as she prayed for the safety of Sarah and the others. She dared not imagine what would become of Tristan if anything were to happen to Sarah and William. They reached the location of the accident in less than 10 minutes, where Martin was still attempting to save Sarah and William. Tristan stopped by the curb, and he and Sophie dashed toward the overturned car to help. Several others arrived in quick succession to lend a helping hand. William and Sarah were rescued shortly after. Sarah only had several minor scrapes, while William's injuries were more severe. Once the ambulance arrived, William was lifted onto it under the accompaniment of Sarah and Tristan. Sophie would have followed them if not for the nurse who blocked her way. I'm sorry, but we can only bring on one relative. Otherwise, it would be too cramped inside the ambulance. The nurse shut the double doors of the ambulance as it promptly took off for the hospital. Sean approached Sophie at that. Get in the car. We're heading to the hospital. Since William is already elderly, it'd be best for him to have a thorough checkup in the hospital regardless of how serious his injuries are. Okay. Sophie made up her mind quickly and got in the car. Tristan was waiting outside the emergency ward alone when she arrived, unaware of what was happening on the other side of the doors. Sophie closed the distance and held his hand as a form of non-verbal comfort. It's okay. They'll be fine. Sophie could not find any other comforting words to say. She was never good at consoling people. Tristan tightened his grip on her hand and said, Yeah, I know. You've had a long day today. Sit down and rest for a while. Even at such a critical moment, he was still worried about her. I'm fine. I'll stay here with you, the woman assured. Back when Sophie's grandfather was unwell, he had stayed and kept her company too. She only wished that Sarah and the others were all right. Okay, he replied. Thankfully, neither William nor Sarah was seriously hurt. They only required a simple treatment from the doctor. As for the specifics, we need to do more tests tomorrow to find out. However, they shouldn't have any serious injuries. The doctor spoke truthfully. All right. Doctor, remember to do a full body check for him. Even though William had an annual body checkup, it was safer to do it once more. Okay, I'll leave first. With that, the doctor left. Tristan entered the ward soon after. Although William was clear-headed now, he looked a little disheveled. But he was still the William Lombard from Gypsdale that everyone was familiar with. The man that no one could mess with. Even though Sophie was there, William did not comment. It's just a minor injury. There's no need for you all to stay here. You can all go home. The old man was mindful that it was late at night, and it was pointless for them to stay any longer. Grandpa, you nearly scared me to death. Seeing that William was okay, Isabel could not hold back her tears and cried. Seeing the woman crying miserably, William felt very heartbroken. Look at me. Don't I seem fine? Don't cry, my good girl, he coaxed. Isabel was his most beloved granddaughter, so naturally, he could not bear to see her feeling so devastated. Felix immediately handed her some tissues to wipe her face. Okay, stop crying. It's already late, so let me send you back. Let's not disturb your grandpa's rest, he suggested. What a complicated relationship. As a wise man, William could naturally deduce Isabel and Felix's relationship. He had no problem with the two being together. However, their relationship was simply too complicated. Grandpa, I'll come to see you tomorrow. Please rest well and listen to the doctor's advice, okay? Isabel urged. Yes. Don't worry, I'm okay. After you head back, rest well and don't overthink, William comforted. Okay, Isabel relented before leaving with Felix. Sophie knew that William wanted to discuss something with Tristan privately. Hence, she found an excuse to leave. As she sat alone in the hospital corridor, she counted her blessings that Sarah and the others were all fine. At that moment, she felt very fortunate. Suddenly, Sophie's phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number, but she answered the call anyway. Sophie, it's me. Nicholas Sable. Why can't he just give up? Hadn't I made myself clear? Have you received the gift I sent you? He asked. Hearing his words, Sophie narrowed her eyes. What do you mean? Explain yourself. Car accident. Nicholas replied straightforwardly. Sophie, no matter what, we are still friends, right? How could you not invite me to your engagement? I was very displeased, so I got you a small gift. You don't mind, do you? So all of this was because of him. You're courting death, Nicholas, the woman bellowed. How could he do this? Luckily, old Mr. Lombard and the others are okay. Otherwise, what am I going to say to Tristan? When the man sensed Sophie's fury, he could not help but laugh. Do you feel angry right now? I was likewise furious when I learned that you were getting engaged to Tristan. I told you previously that I loved you and that you couldn't marry anyone else. Nicholas was so obsessed with her that it was borderline crazy. I can overlook this incident. Let's treat this as a lesson. Don't marry him, or the next punishment won't be so simple, the man threatened. If you don't care about his father's and sister's lives, I have nothing to say. Sophie was enraged by Nicholas's insanity. Nicholas Sable, are you out of your mind? Where are you? I'll find you, and we'll settle things once and for all. She was tired of Nicholas' constant badgering. It would be better to just end things directly. No. If you see me now, you'll definitely kill me, Nicholas replied. He stood in front of a window, looking at the city night view with a glass of red wine in his hand. You better pray that I don't find you, Nicholas. Otherwise, you won't live past that encounter, Sophie hissed before ending the call. Next, she called Butterfly and instructed, find Nicholas Sable. I swear I'll kill him this time. Butterfly was surprised to hear Sophie's furious voice because she hadn't heard her that upset in a long time. What's wrong? She asked in concern. Nicholas was a ruthless psycho and not someone to mess with. You don't need to bother about anything else. He's in Chone now. Just find out his location and send it to me, Sophie said tersely. It had been a long time since she felt so enraged and eager to kill someone. It took her so long to find happiness, so she did not want anyone to destroy her life. Okay, I got it. Don't worry. I'll find his location and send it to you right away, Butterfly said confidently. Meanwhile, in the hospital room, Tristan was exasperated at his father's behavior. Can't you say whatever you have to say in front of Sophie? She'll be upset if you act like this, he lamented. The old man was rendered speechless by Tristan's complaint. They haven't even gotten married yet, but he's already so biased toward her. I'm doing this for her own good. There are some things that she should not know, William explained. Do you know why we had the car accident? After Tristan shook his head, the old man continued. Someone shot the tire with a gun. Everything happened too quickly, so I didn't have the chance to tell you. This car accident was intentional. As a veteran in the business world, William had seen all kinds of dirty tactics. I see. I'll investigate this matter. Please rest well. Tristan's eyes turned icy cold as he spoke. Damn it. Who could be so daring? Well, you be careful too. After all, their enemy seemed well prepared. I will, Tristan replied. All right. Now send Sophie back to rest. I think our enemy just wants to threaten us, so there's no need to stay here and guard me, William said. The day had been tiring for everyone, so William was okay with staying in the ward alone while the others returned home to rest. Got it, Tristan uttered. I've stationed plenty of people here, so I don't think there'll be any problems. After he stepped out, he saw Sophie sitting on the chair in the corridor alone. I don't know what she's thinking, but her expression is making my heart wrench. Slowly he approached and informed her, my dad's fine, so you don't need to worry about him. We can head home now. She must have been worried earlier. In response, she stood and hugged him. Hoarsely, she said, "It's Nicholas." So, it was him. The phrase, "give up," doesn't seem to exist in this man's dictionary. Why does he keep bothering us? Can't he live a good life without interfering with ours? Tristan uttered. I see. Don't worry. I won't allow anyone to hurt my family. We were careless this time, but it won't happen again. Sophie nodded. She didn't want to say too much about the matter as she believed certain things could be settled without his knowledge. Let's go back. You must be tired right now, so let's return home and rest. Don't think about anything else. Okay. Before they left, they visited Sarah's ward. While she wasn't severely injured, it was still recommended she stay in the hospital for observation, so she did. When the couple arrived, Juan did, too. Apparently, he managed to learn of the news. Why are you here? Sarah was surprised by Juan's appearance because news of the accident was supposed to have been kept a secret. Juan was completely shaken when he heard Sarah had been in an accident. However, he was put at ease after seeing she was okay. Caringly he asked, I heard you were in an accident, so I came to visit. Are you okay? I was never appreciative of Sarah when she was still by my side. Only after she withdrew herself from my world did I realize I'd become accustomed to her presence around me. Yeah, I'm fine. You can return home now. In the past, Sarah would have been happy he visited. Now that I've genuinely given up on him, I no longer feel awful, which is a little surprising to me. All right. Juan wasn't expressive, so he wasn't sure how to respond to her. Even though he wanted to stay, he felt the only thing he could say was, in that case, I'll leave now. Take good care of yourself. Sarah hummed in agreement. She wasn't a mind reader, so obviously, she had no idea what was going through his mind. However, it didn't matter anymore. When Tristan entered the room with Sophie and saw Juan, he nodded at the latter. Juan spent the last few years entangled with Yvette, so why is he here after Sarah was involved in an accident? What is he trying to do? Juan left the room after greeting the couple. What was he doing here? Inquired Tristan, displeased. I know he doesn't like Sarah, so why is he complicating his relationship with her when it has long ended? He should give it a rest already. I also don't know why he came. Although, this is the hospital, not our house. He can come and go as he pleases. In reality, Sarah was a little delighted by his visit. It's evident he still cares about me to some degree, especially because my accident has nothing to do with him. Fine. In any case, I don't like Juan's attitude toward relationships. Just do as you see fit. Tristan was aware that relationship matters were often unclear and messy, so he knew better than to interfere. I know. Anyway, Dad and I are doing fine. You two should return now to rest since it's getting late, urged Sarah. It's pointless for them to stay, anyway. Sophie nodded. Then we'll take our leave now, Sarah. Tomorrow morning, I'll bring breakfast for you. Too. All right. I'll be waiting for your breakfast. There was a touch of joy on Sarah's countenance. Her mood was lifted just because Juan cared enough to visit her. In the end, it was because she still liked him and couldn't let him go. After Tristan and Sophie left, they closed the door and saw Juan standing outside. He was holding a cigarette between his fingers, standing motionlessly with a lonely expression. Tristan knitted his eyebrows. I can't believe he still hasn't left yet. I'm tempted to say something, but I know I shouldn't since this is Sarah's matter. Hence, he silently left with Sophie, his arm wrapped around her shoulders. I'm happy right now, and I do hope Sarah can find her own happiness. If she ends up in a romantic relationship with Juan, I think I can still accept it. Are you worried about Sarah? You know you don't need to, right? Sarah's a grown woman. She knows what she's doing, remarked Sophie. Based on what I've observed, there's no doubt Juan has feelings for Sarah. He wouldn't have visited in the middle of the night otherwise, especially with that expression. Tristan nodded. Let's go. I doubt we can help them out with their romantic relationship. No matter what happens, we should just stay on the sidelines and watch how everything unfolds. Yep. After the two reached the hospital's underground parking lot, he opened the car door for her before entering the vehicle. Then he gave Sean a call. Sean was aware Tristan would call him, which was why he was still awake and waiting. The moment the call connected, Tristan went straight to the point. Nicholas was behind the accident. What are you planning to do? Inquired Sean. I knew it. This wasn't just a simple accident. Now that Nicholas has struck a nerve by hurting Tristan's family and Sophie, I doubt Tristan will remain idle. This time, Nicholas is probably going down. I'll let you decide. It was a vague statement, but Sean understood what Tristan meant. I guess it's time to eradicate that nuisance once and for all. Very well. I'll make the arrangements. It's getting late, so you should rest soon, stated Sean. Whatever Tristan decides to do, the three of us will support him. Got it. Upon hanging up the phone, Tristan turned to Sophie. I won't let anyone hurt my family or you. She hugged him. Don't worry. No matter what your decision is, I'll support you. I also can't bear letting other people hurt his family. Meanwhile, Charles and Sean were conversing. What? Nicholas is behind this? Why is this guy everywhere? I can't believe he still has the gall to do this after he escaped last time. He's looking down on us, huh? Charles gritted his teeth. Mr. Tristan's order is clear. He wants us to take him out permanently, informed Sean. While they were good citizens, they couldn't stay passive any longer after their enemy dared to touch those closest to them. Sounds good to me. That way, he's guaranteed not to bother us anymore. I really have no idea what Nicholas is thinking. Sophie doesn't like him at all, so why is he doing all these things? It'll only make her hate him even more. The Sable family is no pushover, so we must take great care when devising our grand plan, reminded Sean. This time, we have to take care of him for good. Otherwise, he'll keep going and forever be a thorn in our side. Sure. It's getting late, so I'll head home first. Tomorrow, we'll meet up and continue this discussion. Charles stood. All right. Oh yeah, how's Winter doing lately? You should keep an eye on her and prevent her from doing anything stupid again. If not, no one will be able to bail her out. Don't worry, I have people following her, so there shouldn't be any problems, Charles assured. I wish I didn't need to be worried about her. After he returned home, he saw Winter and Juan talking about something. Initially, he had no interest in joining the conversation. However, when he overheard them talking about Sarah, he paused and approached them. You visited Sarah? Do you like her, Juan? I thought he said he didn't like Sarah in the past. So what's going on? Does this mean he no longer likes Yvette? Yeah, I visited her, Juan admitted. We are technically friends, after all. It's only normal to visit a friend admitted to the hospital. Have you really moved on from Yvette, Juan? You used to like her so much. All right, it's getting late. Let's all head to bed now. Yvette was a topic Juan wasn't interested in talking about at that moment. I must have been blind in the past. That's why I was misled by Yvette. Now, I've truly understood what I want. It sounds like you did move on from her, regardless of how much you liked her before. Am I right? Winter wondered. If he can do that, This means Tristan can do it too, right? In that case, I still have a chance. Upon hearing that, Charles shook his head. I know what you're thinking, Winter. Stop it. Mr. Tristan is already engaged to Sophie. Although, that's not important compared to their love for each other. They're never going to split up. Do you understand? She should have given up on him a long time ago. Why doesn't she understand her wish will never come true? Juan was engaged with Yvette too, and they broke up in the end. Clearly, nothing in this world is permanent, argued Winter. I'm still young. I can still wait. One day, Tristan will acknowledge me. Isn't that what's happening with Juan and Sarah? Juan frowned. Why did Winter end up like this? In response, Charles refuted, that's different. Juan was never madly in love with Yvette, which was why they broke up. Stubbornly, she spat. Then how do you know Tristan wholeheartedly loves Sophie? You're my brother, so why do you keep taking other people's side? Why aren't you supporting me? I feel so awful. At the very least, shouldn't my family be supportive of me? Look, I'm willing to support you no matter what you do, except when it comes to this matter. Really, no one can help you out with this. If you want to keep living in Gypsdale, you better behave yourself and stop coveting something that doesn't belong to you. Charles was truly sick and tired of her antics. That silenced her. However, she didn't absorb a single word he said. Charles then turned to Juan. You too, Juan. Since you don't like Sarah, you shouldn't bother her anymore. It wasn't easy for her to give up on you, so you should let her find her own happiness. In response, Juan knitted his eyebrows. Her own happiness? But I don't want to let her find her own happiness. If she does, what'll happen to me? What should I do? I feel like Sarah and I are bound together, whether I want it or not. Inside a mansion within Gypsdale, Richard provided plenty of delicious food for Nicholas, but Nicholas didn't eat any of it. Upon seeing that, Richard approached him. You haven't eaten anything since noon, boss. You should really eat something. If you don't, how will you have enough energy to deal with your enemies? Nicholas twirled the glass of red wine in his hand. Tell me, Richard, am I wrong to do what I did? Sometimes he would question himself, wondering why he was doing the things he did. No matter how much I force Sophie, she has never reciprocated my feelings. None of what I did worked. In that case, what should I do? I feel lost. Of course, you have to seize the person you like when you have the resources to, boss, replied Richard. You think so too? Those words perked Nicholas up. Yeah, he's right. Why should I let someone else have the person I'm enamored with? I'm not a noble man. I can't just sit by and watch another man take the woman I love. That's why you must tend to yourself first, because only then will you have the chance to snatch the person you like. She's just a woman. Boss can have anything he wants. Thus, Nicholas sat down and started eating. Why have I never recognized a talented man like you before, Richard? If he had been around me to tell me this before, I wouldn't have felt so conflicted for this long. Don't worry, boss. From today onward, I'll always be by your side to assist you, assured Richard. Boss and I are the same type of people. We'll never let go of the things we like.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.